The gap now is the smallest it's been for a while, and the pressure from the chasers is probably the biggest it's been for a while. Another big day in the League One promotion race yesterday, with the gap between Plymouth in second and the chasing pack down to just 2 points for the first time since back at the start of January. Is that second automatic place up for grabs once again? There were two big promotion head-to-heads yesterday, with Barnsley hosting Plymouth and Bolton hosting Ipswich. The day ended with 4 winners and 2 losers in the top 6, and the pressure certainly building on those losing sides. Right at the top, nothing is really shaking my belief that right now Sheffield Wednesday are basically in a conversation all on their own. Any questions about the ebb and flow of this race doesn't really involve the Owls, whilst they keep pounding out the wins and looking so impregnable at the back. It was a 1-0 win at Portsmouth for Wednesday, a 5th straight victory, 22 games undefeated, 21st clean sheet of the season. I'll say no more. That undefeated streak gets its toughest test coming up though, with Bolton and Barnsley, their next 2 opponents. But look, it's going to take a mightily unlikely change in fortunes for Sheffield Wednesday not to finish the job from here. The biggest story yesterday though has to be Plymouth, who went under 3-0 at Barnsley. Argyle's away form has been sticky for a while now. That is 3 defeats in 4 on the road and just 3 wins in 11 in away matches in the EFL. We'd set yesterday as a bit of a D-Day for Plymouth, as the fixtures now get much easier during the final 10. What is true to say though is the gap now is the smallest it's been for a while, and the pressure from the chasers is probably the biggest it's been for a while. Barnsley are of course one of those chasers, and we cannot argue with their form. That is 14 wins in 19, and since the end of October, Barnsley are only behind Sheffield Wednesday in terms of points accrued as the second best team in the league. The 2 games in hand make things very interesting, but again, the next 2 home games for Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich. Speaking of Ipswich, that excellent run continued yesterday. The conversation had very much been that it's all well and good dismantling the teams at the bottom, particularly in home games, but we'd learn more when they went away to top 6 Bolton. Well, it was a 5th straight win and a 6th straight clean sheet. And that Bolton missed penalty really makes it look like both the momentum and the fine margins are really with Ipswich at the moment. Although, for all the feel good around Ipswich, they're gonna have to do it the hard way. The next 2 road trips for the Tractor Boys, that one against Barnsley we mentioned, and a trip to Pride Park to play Derby. On the other side of that result, Bolton dropped to 6th and have now lost 3 of their last 5 EFL games. Yes, I accept they did have an energy-sapping February, but they really need to reset and get moving once again. I will say Wycombe in 7th place, going down to Burton yesterday, meant that nothing really altered in terms of pure points on the board. It was Derby who slipped past Bolton into 5th, remedying their poor away run at struggling Oxford. That winning momentum for Derby seemed to disappear after the FA Cup game against West Ham. They still look to me like a playoff team, but not quite the fearsome winning machine that may have had them looking like playoff favourites or even better back in January. So what does this all mean? Wednesday, really still champions-elect. They're not missing a beat. Derby and Bolton in need of a few good weeks now to properly reset. It's all about Plymouth, Ipswich and Barnsley this weekend though. My take has been for a while now that if Plymouth had any kind of healthy lead going into March the 12th, that they'll get the job done. Is 2 points though healthy enough? And how will the pressure of the teams behind them being in form affect Argyle? I still maintain, if you look at the fixtures of all the teams and say, in isolation, who gets most points from those games, your answer would probably still be Plymouth. In which case, The hard work is done, and despite the wobble, they'll get the job finished. It's never quite that simple though, is it? The remainder of March is now simply an exercise in staying in touch for Ipswich and Barnsley, with tricky games for both, and the two sides meeting at Oakwell on March 25th, where one or both are guaranteed to drop points. I normally think it's a pretty dumb exercise to just add 6 points on for 2 games in hand, but in reality, Barnsley need that, or at least 4, with their spare fixtures. So, the fixtures tell me Plymouth are still favourites, but it's really hotting up once again, isn't it? By the way, you can click up here to see a deep dive data analysis into every League One side's remaining games and who's got the easiest run and who has got the toughest.